Ladies and gentlemen, I am SidAlpha. I apologize to everyone for interrupting their 4th of July celebration. Before we get into the topic at hand, there is something that needs to be said, so please stop what you're doing and pay attention for a moment if you would. It would be greatly appreciated. The recent videos over the past 2 weeks have been seeing a great deal of comments being posted on them. Most of them are from people simply wishing to discuss. However, it has been brought to my attention that there seems to be a little socio-political war being played out in the comments of my videos. I normally tolerate a fair amount of expressed views within my comments as I feel that is simply free speech. It's not up to me to censor someone for wishing to speak their mind. However, there comes a point when it goes past simply speaking your mind and begins moving into the territory of the dreaded term hate speech. And while I do want everyone to be able to speak their piece, I have been inundated with people who are up in arms over some of the comments, and after being shown a couple of them, I understand why. I typically have a fairly thick skin, and I tend to forget that others aren't able to process things in a way that I do. I can distance myself from them to a certain extent so they don't bother me, as my general impression of people that do nothing but spew hate is I will never meet them in real life and they're doing nothing to influence the conversation in a positive or at least intellectual way, so I shrug them off and move on. But not everyone is like me. Actually, very few people are. But I still try to have faith in my viewers. Many of them are fantastic people that I am proud of them joining my community, so I'll ask nicely. Please stop with the anti-trans and any transphobic comments. They do nothing whatsoever to add to the conversation at hand, and a person's gender or sexuality or religion or race are all completely and totally irrelevant to the topic at hand. There is a far bigger enemy out there than someone else's ideology or any of that. So many of you are threatening to turn this issue into something else entirely, and who does it help? No one. So if they continue, I will begin reporting users and issuing bans, and if that doesn't stem the flood, then I really will disable comments on my videos for the duration. This needs to remain on topic, and your own personal beliefs regarding transgender or anything else related to it are superfluous to the conversation. And that also goes to those transgender viewers out there as well. Your own personal experiences should not be superimposed onto Alex Maurer, and engaging in fights with others in the comments section does nothing to help anyone. So I would appreciate it if everyone went back to their separate corners and remember what is important here. And now back to the topic at hand. Alex Maurer's continued emails to myself and other content creators has shown that her wave of DMCA strikes and threats are indeed about to take a new turn as she had promised. Last week, she had threatened the developers of River City Ransom, a 2D beat-em-up by Conatus Creative. It had seemed that her attempt to DMCA the game had failed, and due to her again forwarding information in some form of cyber terror ploy, we understand why. It seems that, unlike YouTube and its automated forums, Valve takes a bit more care in regards to DMCA claims, and they seem to be reviewed by an actual person. Don Dempsey of Valve has for the moment stonewalled the DMCA strike on River City Ransom and has reminded Maurer that continued false DMCA claims are considered harassment of Valve's user base, and the results are Maurer's account being banned from Steam. In response to this, Maurer has reached out to Daniel Crenna of Conatus and is now seemingly holding YouTubers' content hostage in a threat to begin DMCA striking videos of River City Ransom if Crenna fails to comply with her demands, citing the same thing happened when Imigo Softworks stopped responding to her emails. And of course, Maurer has followed up with a PDF DMCA notification of the Bandcamp page that contains the music in question. In response to Maurer's email thread to Valve, I also sent the following. Don, as one of the more prominent YouTubers that have been covering this situation, I feel there is a lot of context not being given by Maurer in this regard, and there is a pending legal action against Maurer regarding a similar situation with Imigo Softworks. I would urge Valve to not give in to Maurer's demands and her threats that equate to holding YouTube channels and one of your partner's games hostage if she doesn't get her own way. This is beginning to border on cyber terrorism, and I feel you should involve Valve's legal team before proceeding. And I just realized I fat-fingered the word proceeding. Oh well, accidents will happen. I think they can decipher it easily enough. Of course, no one will respond to any of these as it is the 4th of July and most people are out of doors tonight. However, what Maurer is doing is she's now deliberately holding YouTubers hostage in order to try and force pressure on the developers of River City Ransom. This entire case has gone so far past ludicrous that I'm beginning to feel like I'm in a Mel Brooks film or in an episode of Family Guy and the writers have latched onto a joke that they really like. Now, if this was Maurer's, quote, next big thing, I can honestly say that it was probably one of the dumbest moves she could make. She is doubling down on her assertion that she actually maintains the right to the music in question. However, that can already be demonstrably disproven. Leonard French actually laid it out in a TwitLonger post citing legal precedent, that is, as follows. In a series of cases decided over more than 60 years, the court has considered the status of commissioned works under the 1909 Act with respect to both the original copyright term and the renewal term. In the process, we have developed what the Fifth Circuit describes as an almost irrebuttable presumption that any person who paid another to create a copyrightable work was the statutory author under the work-for-hire doctrine. Easter Seal Society for Crippled Children and Adults of Louisiana Incorporated versus Playboy Enterprises. That's basically the citation of the relevant Second Circuit cases. Our court first recognized a presumption in favor of commission party in 1939 in Yardley versus Hoffman Mifflin Company, a case involving an artist who had been commissioned by the city of New York to paint a mural. The artist had died before the expiration of the copyright's original term, and his sister claimed to own a copyright for the original term by virtue of an assignment from her brother's executor. In addition, the sister had filed for and obtained a registration for the copyright's renewal term. Focusing on the original term, we ruled that although the contract commissioning the artist's work was silent as to which party would hold the copyright, and although the artist had included a copyright notice in his favor on the painting, this term belonged to the city because it had commissioned the artist to paint the mural. In so holding, we adopted a presumption that the commissioning party desires to control the publication of copies of the commissioned work and that the artist consents to such control in the absence of a contract to the contrary. And what all of this legalese boils down to is that from the basis of law, the copyright being maintained by the developers and not the contractor is assumed if there's no written contract stating otherwise. And as Mauer's work with Star Mazer did have a clause that did specifically state that Imagos Softworks would retain all ownership, there's no assumption that needs to be made for that game. However, being the work for Star Mazer DSP was under a non-contractual obligation, then the law assumes that copyright ownership will stay with the developers, not with Alex Mauer. So Alex will continue to DMCA her tiny little brains out, and each and every one of them, I am supremely confident, will be found to be spurious. And as Mauer has now gone after Imagos Softworks, Bandcamp, Turner Broadcasting, Conatus, and is attempting to lean on Valve, as well as the 100+ content creators she's affected, there is basically no presumption here that Mauer will ever work in this industry again, and there will be dire legal ramifications in the future. And all she is doing is making it worse with every day that passes. Please do like and share this video. It seems another batch of YouTubers may be on the chopping block soon, and they should be warned of what to expect. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I am SidAlpha, and I'll see you next time.